Jose Maldonado, why do you move?
And it is a complex question. It's a way to represent my family, being able to teach the next generation of kids how to appreciate it, how to expand it, and how to grow from it. It's not like something you pump your fist to. It's something that you can sit down and you could have a beer and just chill with your people and be like, that sounds good. And then you could, next second, you could just put your beer down, go dance. There's so many different rhythms playing at once. Pick one that you like and pick your flavor and just go. It's just a mix. It's the versatility of the music. It could be fused with anything.
It's like Baskin Robbins. Choose your own flavor.
Yeah, you choose what you want. There's actually 13 rhythms in salsa. Dance classes are supposed to be a challenge. It's not supposed to teach you something that you already know. Because if you already knew it, why are you paying me money? Connection is universal. What you're being taught is to dance with everyone, not just within your circle. The beginner dancer wants to dance with everyone. The intermediate dancer wants to dance with no one. The advanced dancer complains about the music.
That's interesting. I've never heard that
Right?
before. Welcome back, y'all, to the Why We Move podcast. It's your host, Ricardo Topete. I'm here with Jose Maldonado, the salsa dancer born and raised in Philly for 27 years now. This is going to be a really good episode, y'all. He's recommended by Brandon. Brandon, thanks again. You've been a homie from the start, and thanks for grabbing this fine gentleman here to talk on everything that he wants to talk about on this podcast.
And when I see you, Brandon, I'm going to... I'm playing.
So,
Brandon's a cool dude.
Yeah.
One of my best friends, so... best friends in this community are very hard to come by. So I'm very blessed to have him and a few other people in my corner.
Amen. Amen. All right, Jose. Well, let's get started. You ready?
I'm ready.
Cool, man. Let's tell the crowd a little bit about yourself. Just give me a little quick introduction. What do you do? Who you are?
All right, man. Well, Jose Maldonado here. I have been a dancer in Philly for 27 years, started back in 1996. And over the last 27 years, 20 of those have been as a professional dancer, and the last 12, I have been able to compete, perform, and teach this art and this craft of dance and amass 10 world championships in my career.
That's incredible, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Let's go ahead and give that buzzer again real quick because that's you deserve that, man.
Thank you.
Well, awesome. So let's go ahead and get started with the first and foremost question. Everybody I ask to get on the podcast, I ask this simple question, and it might be as complex as however you want to take it. But Jose Maldonado, why do you move?
And it is a complex question. So the reason why I move, it's a way to represent my family. It's a way to give back to my parents who have supported me throughout my entire career. Being 4 years old, dancing in the living room, my dad playing records, him warning me not to make the record skip while I was jumping around and doing something stupid. Also, what it does to the community, me being from Philly, being a hometown kid, being able to give back all of the knowledge that I've acquired throughout the years of my dancing, being able to teach the next generation of kids how to appreciate it, how to expand it, and how to grow from it. And just showing people that a kid from Kensington a kid from North Philly can grow up and do bigger things. I mean, for me, it's all about how I represent myself and how I represent my family.
Amazing, man. And a kid from Kensington can win some competitions, some
Yes,
10,
sir.
10 times world champion.
Yes,
Right on,
sir.
man. That's amazing. Kind of go into your background now. I would love to learn more and get deeper into your journey of social dancing. I know you had said you started since you were 4 years old. You've been dancing for 27 years now.
Mhm.
Kind of go into the beginning. Why and how did that come about?
So, as I said, my love for music started when I was 4. My formal dance training started when I was 13. In 1996, I was a part of a group called the Betty Vega Dancers. Betty Vega was married to Angel Angel Papo Santiago, who was a composer for the Fania All Stars. And he taught us how to break down music in the form of a structure of 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 bars, right? We started with her in 96, and there were 3 other dance groups out there. At the time, there was Grupo Fuego. There was, I believe, Muévete was just in its inception with Ray Velez. And there was the Betty Vega Dancers. And from the Betty Vega Dancers came Ritmo Latino, which was a group that split from Betty Vega and created their own little team. That was 96. And 97, when I got to high school, I met my high school principal who also knew Betty Vega, and his name is Eddie Torres, not Eddie Torres, the Mambo King, but Eddie Torres, the Kensington High School principal, who got us to, it motivated me to go to that school because we did the tour of the high schools, and I got to sit down front row as he got up on stage. And then I see my dance director up on stage, and I'm like, hey, that's Betty. What's Betty doing here?
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden, here he comes, and salsa starts playing, and I'm like, oh, I'm feeling this. All right. And then all of a sudden, he starts dancing. And I'm like, I'm going to this school. This is it. I'm here. You sold. I'm coming to Kensington.
Yeah.
So the upbringing I've had that led into me wanting to dance has been just grassroots. I mean, my father is a hardcore salsero, and to this day still plays nothing but salsa. We taught him how to use YouTube, so he's now like on YouTube scrolling for Jeeps, and he's into the people who live in the forest and build like little huts out of mud and sticks and
Okay.
stuff. So
Nomads.
and then he's also playing nothing but salsa all day in the house. So it's part of the reason why I do what I do. It's just to pay homage to my parents. But yeah, I mean, the the dancing has made me the person I am today. And started when I was 4, dancing in the living rooms at the house parties, to age 13, dancing on a team. And then here I am in 2024, still moving these old legs.
That's incredible, man. It's so cool to hold on to that culture, to hold on to that respect for not only your parents, but like also, I'm sure all the people you met along the way,
Yeah.
from your principal to your instructor to everybody in between.
There's a lot of people that have impacted my dance career. There's too many to name, but the most important ones, they know who they are, and I love them very much. My parents, first and foremost, my godmother, my aunts. Then when it comes to the coaching part of it, you have Billy Fajardo, who's the master instructor of all master instructors. He taught so many different artists, so many competitors and dancers all over the world. The craft of adagio and lift work, being able to take a human and press them over your head is just incredible. And he's still doing it at almost 70 years old. He's like 67 now.
Holy
And he's
shit.
still one of the top dance instructors and dance coaches in the world. He's the head judge of the Summit Championship, which is the competition that I participate in for the last 10 years, 11 years. So I've trained with a lot of coaches all over the world, and to bring that back home and to pass it forward is very important to me.
I can feel the wisdom and the everything that you've learned along the way from these masters of dance and masters of, I'm assuming, salsa mostly.
Salsa, bachata, hustle.
Okay.
Billy is one of the pioneers of Latin hustle. Hustle was started in 1972 in the Bronx. African American and Hispanic kids that were the kids of the mambo dancers.
Mm.
They wanted to dance to their own music and the music of their time, and there goes the hustle. And it got marketed as disco, and it's always going to be Latin hustle, no matter how many people say, no, it's just hustle. No, it's Latin hustle.
Mm.
It comes from salsa. It comes from mambo. It comes from New York City.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. You gotta put your foot down on
You
that.
got to let them know the history.
Hey man, we talked about this before we started recording, but to kind of reiterate so that people can know, you went into your style of dancing with salsa, Latin hustle, and pardon me again, the last
Some bachata, some
Bachata.
cha-cha, a little bit of everything. And folkloric Puerto Rican dance, bomba plena. That's where it all started.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know. I don't think I've ever heard of that.
So Puerto Rican folkloric dance, it's a key rhythm in salsa. It's a key rhythm for Latin or Afro-Latin dance, and it's very traditional to the island of Puerto Rico. And um, it has a lot of syncopations. There's a lot of just upbeats, and there's two different styles. There's the plena, which is more of a way to communicate the news in the barrio in the neighborhood, and then bomba is to just express the conversation with the gods.
Beautiful. Love that. Now, apart from, and let me ask you this question first to kind of preface it. What do you find, what style of dance do you find yourself moving to the most these days?
These days, I will tell you, salsa is number one.
Okay.
It's been number one. It's always going to be number one for me. After that, it's hustle. After that, it's bachata. Bachata's in third place. And then cha-cha. I mean, the folkloric dance I haven't done in a really long time. It's been decades. I mean, I can't. If I were to try to attempt to do it again, it won't look like it used to. So out of respect for the dance, I just be like, I used to do it, not anymore.
Beautiful. That's all you got to do, right?
Yep.
That's all you got to say. Now, have you dabbled in other social dancing and I'll be more specific, perhaps Zouk, Kizomba, West Coast Swing, any of those kinds of styles?
So I did take a West Coast swing class back in like 2009 just to learn the basics of it. And the studio I worked for at the time needed a West Coast swing instructor to teach an intro class. And I taught an intro class. And then I noticed and I realized I'm not well versed in this dance to continue to teach it. If I can't teach it, I just don't. I try not to like express my knowledge of it. Only thing I know about West Coast swing right now is a sugar push. And it's a terrible one. It's terrible. And then I dabbled in some kizomba back when kizomba was like getting popular in Philly around like 2014. And I shout out to Jackie Razzo, who I think she's way up north now in the mountains. She was one of my first teachers and a good friend of mine. And she wound up teaching me my basics. And after that, I was like, all right, that's enough. I can step away from that too. Because for me, it was just a little bit overwhelming. And I just took a step back and said, I'm good.
Word. I need to hit up. I hope you can link me up with Jackie because I'm trying to get more Kizomba, Zouk instructors on here to kind of talk about that.
There's plenty of people we could definitely bring up. There's Carlos Cardoso. There's Tiffany McKinnon. She's going to be a beast to bring on.
I've heard of Tiffany. Actually.
Yeah, you got to reach out to her. I probably can put the link.
Let's do it.
I believe she also does some podcasts as well. So,
awesome.
But this woman speaks from the heart, and it's just like fact bombs after facts after facts. She drops bombs on you. So be ready.
That. Tiffany, I'm looking out. Cool. Well, thanks for diving into that. Now, what makes salsa so, for you specifically, Jose, what makes salsa so gravitating for you that made you want to continue dancing up until now?
The music. Everything in the music from the early mambo days to what's playing now. It's just a rhythm that just can't be explained. It's not just a constant downbeat. It's not just like what you hear in the club or top 40 where it's just boom, 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 right? It's not like something you pump your fist to. It's something that you could sit down and you could have a beer and just chill with your people and be like, damn, that sounds good. And then you could be on, next second you could just put your beer down, go dance. There's so many different rhythms playing at once that you just pick one that you like and pick your flavor and just go. It's just a mix. For me, it's the versatility of the music. It could be fused with anything.
It's like Baskin Robbins. Choose your own flavor.
Yeah, you choose what you want. There's actually 13 rhythms in salsa.
Oh wow!
Every instrument's playing a rhythm, significant rhythm. There's more rhythms than that, but there's at least 12 playing at the same time.
Interesting. If you can trace it back, I know you kind of explained that you've taken multiple instructions from multiple people, but who has been the most insightful as far as the knowledge portion of the dance for you?
For me, so I've taken, like I said, I've taken classes with some of the best dancers in the world in New York City, in Miami, in LA, from LA, from Italy, everywhere, from Puerto Rico. Um, my my the branch I extend from is Billy Fajardo, um, and he takes his knowledge also from um, Augie and Margot.
Okay.
Those were his mentors, his coaches. Augie and Margot were Palladium dancers from the Mambo days in the 50s.
Okay.
They did this routine. Um, I believe they did it on TV, and they passed that choreography along to Billy. And then Billy took it to the next level. He added his own twist to it, and the knowledge, the wealth of knowledge that this man has is incredible. I mean, there's a lot of information that you could just pick out of one little tidbit of advice he gives you. Um, the other source of knowledge is Tito Ortos, um, and his wife Tamara, and they're from Puerto Rico. They are the historians of salsa, especially Tito. He knows his shit when it comes to why do we do this? Where did this come from? What band did this? Who was the artist in that? This step is done this way because of so and so. And they'll tell you the Suzy Q is a Suzy Q because of A, B, and C.
Mm.
He is like an encyclopedia. If you remember encyclopedias, I dated myself. I'm old.
I remember picking up an encyclopedia when I was in elementary school. I
Yeah,
got
now it's all phone.
It's all Google.
Yeah, Google.
Cool, very cool. Now, to move on to more so of the social dancing aspect of things. I mean, I can already tell you're a salsero from heart. Even like the hat, if you can kind of speak on it a little bit, the eat, sleep, salsa, repeat. Can you kind of go into
Yes,
why?
sir. I picked this hat up from a vendor. Actually, my wife got it for me. It was a gift from her. We were at the Tri-State Dance Fest a couple weeks ago. Shout out to Jeff and his team and Urakan Dance Company in Queens. Um, he took over that event in 2019 and has elevated that event to it's one of my favorite events on the East Coast. It's a must attend for anyone that can drive to it. It's a 2 hour drive or 2.5 hours. And she picked up this hat. There was a bomber jacket that I really wanted, but they didn't have my size. I'm a big guy, so they didn't have my size. And she was like, you know what? You like wearing hats. I got you the hat. And it's eat, sleep, salsa, repeat. And it's actually something I like to live by because I'm an early riser. I, I love to eat. I love to sleep. And salsa. I mean, nothing better than that.
Awesome. And to kind of hop on and what's it called, give more homage to what you're wearing too. I see your shirt says North Hope Survivor Saviors. Do you want to kind of talk about that a little bit as well?
So my younger brother Alex, he streams on Twitch. Um, his name is Saviors Apps, so that's his gamer tag on the bottom. North Hope is the street that we grew up on in the 80s and 90s up until 2019 when we moved. And this is his way of paying homage to where we grew up. So growing up in Kensington during the 80s it was hectic, man. It was
Yeah.
I don't recommend it. But we grew up from there. So, I mean, we were able to survive that. We were able to become men from that. I have two younger brothers and I have an older brother and sister. But my two younger brothers and I are really close because we spent the most time together. So, my baby brother decided that he was going to pay homage to where we grew up, and this is his clothing line, and I got to represent my baby brother.
Awesome. Yeah, and I wanted to speak on that. I know we talked about that a little bit in the elevator coming up, but I value your ability to represent not only where you're from, because I think your culture is really your roots and how you carry yourself, your ancestors and everybody, everything of that. But I want to make it a point to bring people onto this podcast who I think express that, because that's what really holds our community together.
Yes.
And we kind of talked about that a little bit off the camera as well. Is if you don't got community, you don't really
Yeah.
have anything.
Doesn't grow.
And I'm curious to hear about your perspective on that, because a lot of folks, when they tune into the Why Move podcast, they come up to me after and they say, I really like that there's a lot of people about community, because when they first got started dancing, at least specifically here in Philly, they didn't really feel like they could branch into that community until somebody else welcomed them in. And so, I see you, and I've like heard a lot about you. In fact, not just from Brandon, but from Ryan Brown. Shout out Ryan Brown. He's also mentioned your name and a lot of other folks to bring you on, because I think, and it's obviously gravitated towards bringing community together. And so I'm curious to hear your perspective on community, and specifically here in Philadelphia for dancing.
In Philly, you said something about waiting for an invitation to be like accepted into the social circles, right? Um, I'm cut different from that. I don't want to belong to any circles.
Okay.
I'd rather just go out and dance.
Mm.
Like, I don't care whose dance studio logo is on your shirt. You want to dance with me? I mean, these hands are rated E for everyone. Not for fighting, but just for dancing. I mean, you want to be able to go out and enjoy yourself and not worry about, oh, so and so doesn't dance with so and so because they're from rival schools.
Mm-hmm.
And you shouldn't see it as a rival. You should see it as, this is your community. There's different houses.
Mm-hmm.
When you were growing up as a kid, you played with your neighbors, right? You just didn't play with your family members, because your family members hardly ever came around. And when they did, it was on the weekends. What are you going to do the other 5 days?
Mm.
And it's the same thing with salsa, with the dance community. You go out every night. Just because that person's wearing a shirt of a different studio than yours doesn't mean you can't dance with them, because the language is universal. Connection is universal. What you're being taught is to dance with everyone, not just within your circle, which is why I don't like to be a part of anyone's inner circle.
I love that, man. You're like a lone wolf, but a very friendly lone wolf.
Yeah, everyone gets intimidated by me. Like I go out and they're like, "That's Jose. He looks mean." I mean, I got the beard and I look old and mean, but I'm not mean. I'm like I said, I joke around. Yeah. I crack jokes with my friends. I drink. I'll dance, and I'm here for a good time. I'm not here to make anyone tense.
Amen. It's funny you say that, because I was over at Bach Bar last night. They do this salsa on the rooftop social. Shout out Bach Bar.
I have yet to be there. Every time they have it, I'm teaching, and I've known Big George for years.
Yeah.
And I'm like, have you had him on yet?
No, I wanted to talk to him about it last night. And
get a bigger chair, bro, because
Big George,
he's gonna have to sit on the speaker or something, because that boy big.
Oh man, yeah. Shout out Big George, man. We got to talk soon. But definitely, no. I was out last night at Bach Bar, and as soon as I walk in, I try to make a point to say what's up to everybody, say hi to friendly faces, even new faces, and dance with everybody that I can. Of course, knowing that I'm gonna sweat a lot and got to take breaks, so like I'm trying to do my rounds. But essentially, I had this like thought, because I show up to socials alone. Like, I don't really have a circle of friends that I go out. I think everybody out there has the potential to be your friend and be, amicable. Right. I don't know if I'm using that word right, but basically just like open and willing to at least say what's up.
Yeah.
And towards the end of the night, when they, shut the last song down, I was just kind of walking back to grab my backpack, and I was just like thinking, like, it feels so good to just not feel like I need to check in with a group and to make sure that they're, like, they're accepting of me to go home. Like, I can just go home whenever I want to. I don't have to like belong to anybody per se. Like, that's ultimate freedom for me. And essentially I was like walking back, and I was like, I got pulled from these two girls who were from Sober Philly. Shout out to y'all, because we got to talk soon as well. They pulled me to talk about just like events that we can put together, about collaborating on, dancing and sober type events. And I think I'm really gravitated towards that. And I'll like segue this to a separate question, but just to kind of harp on the first topic that we talked about, community building, is, like, it felt so good to just be stopped and be like, hey, like, I see what you're doing. We're doing this. Let's collaborate on making community a bigger thing. Because what, from their standpoint, is they were talking about how they didn't really have or find people who were almost in a way like authentic within themselves at some of the dance events, not all of them, but some of the dance events, because a lot of people are just drinking their faces off and they'll just go out and
Right.
just like, all that stuff. But they kind of made it a point to talk to me and start to be like, yo, like, let's actually like be friends. Let's just hang out. Let's have like a group together where we can go and like do these kinds of things with. And I was like, I respect that. Like, thank you for coming up to me, because I was just gonna go on my way out and not even think about it. And so I like that community building part where there during that night, I noticed a lot of people in their groups and their cliques, and that's fine, like everybody can do whatever. But I did notice a lot of people kind of stay stuck. And so there was like these little circles all over.
Hmm.
Yet we're all on a rooftop and we're only dancing with certain people. I'm just like, come on, y'all, like let's just
Yeah,
get
the
together and
dance
let's
floor
have
is
friends.
suffering because we want to stick with the people we know, which is fine. You could dance with whoever you want.
Yeah.
Dancing is all about the vibe. It's all about your aura. When I attend an event, it's how can I make the energy in the room better, not
Mm.
bring it down.
Hmm.
Um, when I go out social dancing, which recently has been very, very like few and far between. The last time I went out social dancing was last Wednesday at Brazil's.
Mm.
Um, Before that, it goes in cycles for me. I've been doing it so long that there's times where I'm teaching till 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, and by the time I'm like, all right, let me get myself ready to go home. When I think home, I'm like, that's where I'm at. But um, going out, if I go out, I'm not going there to just be like, oh, I'm tired. Oh, I'm tired. I'm not going to dance with anyone. If I'm there, ask me to dance.
Yeah.
If I'm there, I'm going to ask you to dance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I said, I'm there to make the event not better because I don't think of, I'm just going to show up and the event's going to be way better because I'm there. No, I'm going to be there to bring good energy, not drag it down.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. It's like bringing your taste. It's almost like your spice into the
Right,
mix.
right.
That's what makes dancing so unique.
That's why it's called salsa.
Hey, let's go. Can we get a buzzer on that real quick? I love that. And shout out real quick to Lexi for being behind the scenes, doing everything that she can to make this come alive. I appreciate you so much for hopping on last minute. Thank you so much. And yeah, to kind of go back on that point, I think it wraps up to the second point that I was going for is showing up for that reason, is like
Yep.
showing up not to just go and party and drink and whatever. Like, again, there's people who do that. Again, I'm not going to judge. I don't do that myself, at least anymore. When I first started dancing, that was a different story. I've kind of like come to my realization where like I feel better about what I'm doing now in a sober
Hmm.
manner. But I'm kind of curious to hear your thoughts and your opinions on what that's like for you when you show up. Can you kind of go into what that
Yeah,
means for
yeah.
you when you're dancing?
So when I first started dancing, like going out to the clubs, same thing. I didn't really drink, partly because I was also getting into the clubs with a fake ID. So, um, the first club I started going to was called Salsa on the Square, and there I was going. It was right around the corner from my house, which was perfect. I mean, Hope and Diamond was right there. Howard and Diamond was the next block up. I'd walk down, make a left. I'm there, and I met DJ Dro. And a lot of my friends that I still have to this day. But yeah, when I first started dancing, I didn't really drink. I just went to the bar and grabbed the water, and every once in a while, I'll just go to the bar and grab a beer. As I got older, started hanging out with the wrong group of friends, wrong group of people. I started doing things that I wasn't supposed to do, and I started drinking a little bit more, and it became a problem.
Mhm.
Um, it was a problem up until my 30s. I'm 40 now. I'm going to be 41 in a month. And I had my bouts with alcohol. Um it wasn't something it's not something that necessarily proud of, but I did act a fool a lot. And I got called out on it a lot by dance directors, studio owners. I closed a lot of those doors on myself. So realizing that, I took a step away from that. I backed up a little bit. I said, I'm not gonna drink to a point where I'm belligerent, where I'm affecting not just the people on the dance floor and the people around me, but I'm affecting myself. I didn't realize that. I still have a drink to be social. I don't overdo it. I went to Brazil's and maybe had 2 drinks and hung out with a couple friends, had a few dances, and then at the end of the night, I wasn't like blackout drunk. I wasn't, you know, I wasn't affected by it. I was able to sweat it out and dance. Um, if and there's people who just go to the club and all they do is drink water, but they're on the dance floor all day. I could do that. I'll have a drink. I'll be social for a little bit. Then I'll go on the dance floor. I'll come off the floor, have the water, have a drink, and before I go home, I don't touch alcohol. At least an hour, 90 minutes before I leave, and it allows me to get that out of my system. I had a good time, drive home. It's good to just be able to say this because that's been a struggle for me. And one person who I give a lot of credit to over the last 7 years has been my wife. Since we started dating, she's not a heavy drinker. She doesn't drink. It's more like a social thing for her, and not even because we're out dancing and she's like, "Nah, I'm okay. Just give me a water." And I kind of just feed off of her vibe. And I'm like, all right, I'll have one, but I know I'm responsible for you, for us to get home safe. Or if anything, you could always drive home. And even at Brazil's last week, I had like a couple drinks. I had my dance, I had a good time. I took the keys and I went, it's on you. And she said, okay, I'll get us home. And we got home, no worries. Yeah, I mean, the dancing and the drinking kind of go hand in hand because it's part of the culture. People in the Congress days would go overboard with bottles of liquor in the hotel rooms, and it just leads to mistakes. It does. It does. And if you're going to go out and dance and you like to have a drink, there's nothing wrong with that. But be responsible enough to know when you've reached your limit and when to call it a day. Because you get to that point on the dance floor where it starts to become irresponsible. I've at Brazil's 10, maybe 15 years ago, there was a guy dancing and he was taking shots of tequila. And it was one after the other. I mean, he must have done like 20 shots of tequila. He goes and dips this girl. This guy was a former football player, like an offensive lineman. So he was a good like 250, 265. And this girl is all of like 110 pounds. He dips her, and Brazil's dance floor back in the day was like, it was, you think the streets in Philly are bad with the potholes? Brazil's dance floor was the epitome of potholes. This guy steps on one of the holes on the floor and just bang, smacks. He dips her. He falls on top of her head. She hits the back of her head. She's concussed. And then she was never the same. She didn't come back out dancing. She suffered from migraine. She couldn't see the lights. It was terrible. So you see the effects of alcohol in dancing. You have to be responsible enough to say, okay, I can't dance anymore. I have to sit down. You either choose the bar or you choose the floor. You can't have both at a certain point. You could do both if you're active. But if you're just doing more at the bar than you are on the dance floor, it's not a good combination.
Facts. And also, you're probably spending a lot more money too. Like that's not fun.
I mean, if you're dancing on a budget, you're going into the bathroom and drinking the tap water. Like you pay your cover, and like you look at your wallet, you're like, oh, funds are low. I just paid the $10 entry. I got like $5 left. How much is the water? $3? All right, I'll get a bottle. Tip her $1, right? And then you get the water bottle. You drink that water, and then you're like, oh man, I'm still thirsty.
Yeah.
You have that bottle. Go back to the bathroom, fill that up. I've seen people do it. I mean, I'm not gonna judge you. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, little tap water ain't hurt nobody.
It's funny, man, because I've done that before. At least like in the last few months, and it's not my proudest moments, but I mean,
there's no judgment. I mean, if you If you got it, you got it. If you don't, you don't.
Yeah.
You're still there. You still got to do what you got to do.
Exactly. Exactly. That's hilarious. Apart from drinking being a big, I think, like, kind of essence of or factor of dancing, or that you kind of get with dancing in most, dancing clubs or nights or socials, are there any other, misconceptions per se, if we kind of tailor it more towards that end
Yeah,
about dancing, that you
yeah.
can kind of highlight?
So the big misconception in Philly, from what I've seen, and this is just my opinion, anybody can have their opinion. Whether you agree or disagree, we could still be cool. The biggest misconception in Philly is that you have to be of a certain status to be good, considered good.
Mm.
Um, the beginner dancer wants to dance with everyone. The intermediate dancer wants to dance with no one. The advanced dancer complains about the music,
That's interesting. I've never heard that
right?
before.
So, um, for me, I label myself a beginner. I'm always a student.
Mm.
That never changes. I'm always learning. So, when I'm out dancing, people tend to get intimidated by, oh, he's a pro. I can't dance with a pro. Yes, you can. Everyone can dance with everyone. It's just the aura that people give because, oh, I took 3 years of classes. Now I'm advanced. And when they walk into the club or into the social, someone asks them to dance and they're like, no. And then they walk away and they go dance with someone else that's at their level.
Mm.
And that's the frustrating part. The misconception of you have to be at a certain level to dance with me. Like, who are you? At the end of the day, who are you?
Yeah.
Who am I? Do we breathe the same air? Are we in the same place? Are we listening to the same music?
Yeah, that's honestly though, that I think a lot of people need to hear that. I think,
Yeah, just check it. When you walk into the social, the ego stays out there.
yeah,
You're
absolutely.
just another person, just like everybody else. You
Yeah.
don't have to treat anybody like they're beneath you because they're not at your dance level,
Mhm.
because you were a beginner too.
That's what we say a lot in mixed martial arts as well. As soon as you step on the mat, your ego stays at the door.
Yep.
It's like you'll learn quickly too.
Oh
you
yeah.
know?
I mean, my uncle was a boxer.
Okay.
So the first thing he did when he was teaching me how to fight or teach me how to box was, anybody can knock you out. It takes one punch.
Mhm.
The right punch in the right spot will put you down. And exactly that. I came in thinking I was, Mr. Good Hands, and then all of a sudden I caught one to the jaw and I was sleeping. And I said, "Oh, I need to get back to the gym and work."
Yeah. Yeah, and it's good probably that you learned that in there versus on the streets too.
Yep.
I think a lot of people,
I've had my fair share in the streets. I mean, if you take a look at the hands, they're pretty scarred up.
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah, you grew up in Philly.
yeah, I mean, that's just part of what growing up in Kensington was in the 90s.
Mm. There's a lot of I think interesting things to hound on, and I think remember really is being mindful when you're out dancing, that also really carries out into the
Yeah.
outside world. And I'd love to touch on that as well. You instruct and you teach quite a bit throughout the week. Can you kind of go into a little bit about what you do, where you
Yeah.
teach, what you teach?
So pre-pandemic, I was teaching 7 days a week. It was my career. It was my life. I would be up at 7 o'clock in the morning, headed to rehearsal with my dance partner, Loretta. Um, my dance partner for 12 years now. We stopped dancing when the pandemic started because we just couldn't get together to rehearse. So I was driving an hour to Princeton to rehearse with her, from 8 in the morning to 12 o'clock, sometimes to 2. And that was Monday through Thursday. And then after rehearsal, we would go teach our private lessons. We would go teach our classes till about 10:30 at night, and then head home. And that was Monday through Thursday. Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, we would travel. So we would get booked for events. There was a point in time where we were doing 35 events a year.
Ooh,
So we would catch a flight, go do our thing, come back, unpack, rehearse throughout the week, repack, go back out.
that's more than half the year if you travel every week.
Yeah,
right?
it's almost,
That's-
we were almost booked every weekend. I mean, there's only 52 weekends in a year.
Right.
So we were booked, 2/3 of it.
Wow. That's
So
incredible.
it was a lot. It was a grind, and it wasn't always like we were going somewhere, flying out. It was all right. We have this gig on Friday. It's a local gig. We have this other thing on Saturday, and
Mhm.
it spaces out. But it was a time where I was hardcore, like 16 16 hours
Mhm.
of dance. One time we logged in. We were in the studio at 8 in the morning. Didn't get out to 12 o'clock, 12:30 at night.
Wow.
And it was just from there, we were like, all right, let's go out dancing. And then we went out dancing to 2 in the morning.
Yo, it's like the
So,
Energizer bunnies
so it
over
was
here.
just one of those constant things that just go, 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 go.
Yeah.
And it got rough. I mean, pre-pandemic was pretty wild because we were in the peak of our career.
Mhm.
So I was teaching every day. I teach at La Luna Dance Studio out in Bristol. I teach at Top Hat Dance Studio. And those are the two studios I'm at now. And I'm only teaching, you know, when I was at La Luna, I was teaching Monday through Thursday, and I took the weekends off. Then for a brief point from 2011 to 2017, I taught at Estilo Dance Studio. And that's where I met Gio. Actually, Gio started with Grupo Fuego, as he told you in the
Mhm.
podcast. But when he came to me at Estilo Dance Studio, I had this team called Mas Estilo, and it was a group of teenagers. So from that group, you have Gio, you have Armando, who is partnered up with Paola at Controla Dance.
Mhm.
You have Jose Garcia, who we know him as Pepe. He's one of my little brothers. I like to call him. I consider them all my little brothers. Uh, you have uh, you have Nalani, you have Ariana. Um, for from me taking over the Betty Vega dancers, Omi was part of my dance team at one point back in the day in like the early 2000s. So from that group, there were a ton of kids that came out. That's the next generation. That's who I gave it to. That's what I gave 110% of me to. Um, but yeah, going back to we made like a left, but going back to what we were saying, teaching I've been able to teach at every dance school in Philly, at least almost every dance studio in Philly, and work with some of Philly's best instructors. Um, and yeah, we just all have the same mission. We all have the same goal, is to make our dancers better. But there's times where our pride and our egos clash. You know, we're human. We're gonna have disagreements, and the schedule for me was insane. It was Monday, like Sunday, 7 days a week. And then after the pandemic, I took a step back and I said, I got to reevaluate what I'm doing. Um, I sat at home for like a month and a half, and my wife, then fiance, was like, "You need to get the fuck out the house. I'm going to murder you if you don't leave." And I said, "What am I doing?" She's like, "You're not doing anything.
Mhm.
You're just sitting down playing video games. You're not doing a thing, and we have bills to pay." And I said, "Yeah, we have bills to pay, but I don't have a job. It was taken away."
Yeah.
Um, so she goes, "You have detailing equipment in your mom's shed. Why don't you just go back to doing auto detailing?" I said, "You know what? It's a good idea." I went back to it. I drew back once the pandemic started to alleviate a little bit and dancing was reopened. We were able to jump right back in, like nothing, didn't miss a beat. But I was already in a different stage of my career where I was like, you know what? I don't want to teach that much.
Mhm.
I'm going to limit myself to how many classes I teach throughout the day, throughout the week. And it made my classes better because I'm not everywhere. I'm not spreading myself thin. One of the biggest problems of dance instructors is that we say yes to everything,
Mhm.
you know, because we have an opportunity to teach a lesson here. Yeah, I'll take it. Can you teach a class at the? Yeah, I'll take it. And it becomes yes, 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 that you're burning the candle on both ends, not taking into account that some instructors perform, they direct teams, they have other jobs. So you're burning the candle on both ends and you're going hard every week, and it eventually catches up to you
Mhm.
and you wind up burning out. and then you disassociate yourself from it because you hold a lot of resent as to why did I miss a birthday? I missed this family event, and you have to take a step back and say, I can do this, but I also need to do this.
Mhm.
And teaching, um, the schedule that I was teaching wasn't allowing me to do that, and it became a big issue with family, and it became a big issue with friends. It became a big issue with my dancing overall
Mm.
because I was burnt out. So the schedule it should be limited. You'll get more out of it.
It's like quality over
Yeah,
quantity.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That-
And it's been that for me the last few years. It's been great. Just teaching quality classes, not every class.
mm.
You don't need to you don't need to prove, well, that I'm I don't need to prove that I have value by doing everything under the sun. I can do little bits and pieces here and there and still give that same quality instruction that I've been doing before pandemic.
And that stays true to what what dance is meant for you, which is
Right.
for your culture, for your family,
Yep.
for the impact that you create.
I teach a skill. It's an art form. It's a skill. It's culture.
Mm.
Once you remove culture from that, what is the art form? Once you take the art out of it, where's the skill? You can't just do one of the three. If you're going to dance salsa or any dance, anything, any genre of music or any art form that you try, you can't just pick and choose. It's not a la carte. You can't just
Mhm.
say, I only want to do this part of it. I don't care about the rest. You have to care about everything. It's a package deal.
Love that. That's yeah. No, that's a great way to. I couldn't have said it better. That's
Yeah.
incredible that you're sharing with these folks here listening and watching.
I tend to go off on little rants, by the way.
No, but I
I should
love
have warned you.
it. I love it though. I'm taking mental notes, man, because sometimes I miss that. You know, at times where I like show up and I'm just like, I just want to practice the technique, or I just don't even want to show up and be about the culture that I've learned. Like I just want to ignore some things, but then it catches up to me.
Yeah.
You know, kind of similar to what you're saying about burning the candle at both ends. Is I've noticed that a lot with my career and then dancing as well, where I've burnt out in my career and then it's starting to happen in dance, and I'm like, what am I doing? Like, let me just go back to why I love it and why I've loved it for all these years, and
I did
it's
the
really ultimately
same
back to that.
burnout when I graduated college. I had a job working in a logistics company, and my job was to have a checklist and make sure every truck was going to its destination. I was working at the Navy Yard,
Mm.
and I just kept. It was maybe like a year and a half of that, and I was like, I don't like this. I want to take dancing to my next level, and I in 2003, Sonia opened her studio, La Luna Dance Studio, in Ben Salem, the old location. In 2004, actually, Sonia and I met in 2002 at Brazil's. Again, fake ID. Um, I was, we had a dance, and it wasn't anything like amazing or great. It was just like two people danced, and then they just went off their separate ways. And a year later, Victor, who was teaching and dancing with her at the time at her studio, grabs me and he goes, I remember you from Betty Vega. Go dance with Sonia. I was like, I already danced with her. He's no, dance with her again. So we danced again. And then another year goes by, 2004. I'm at Brazil's again. Victor does the same thing. He actually grabs me to dance with him. So I dance with him. And he goes, we have a contract in Atlantic City at the Cuba Libre restaurant.
Oh.
We need dancers. Mind you, at the time I was still 20 years old. I hadn't turned 21 yet. And I said, sure, I'll go. Whatever. They took us to the casino. We did the show. They put me on a box like 2 times the size of the speaker. And they're like, the choreography's merengue. You don't know the merengue choreography. Just go up there and do something. So I'm sitting there on the box, 20 years old, dancing on a box at a casino.
That's
Like,
crazy.
and then you have like all of the older ladies that were gambling. like they're up there like grabbing at me like I'm I'm like Chippendales dancer.
Oh my
And
god. You're lying in a cage in a circus.
and
Huh?
I'm just sitting there doing merengue, and I'm just two-stepping and two-stepping and two-stepping, and then all of a sudden I come off the box, and Victor says, "This is where it gets good." I said, "What do you mean? This is where it gets good?" He goes, "This is where all of the guys that are here are going to ask you to dance with their wives because they don't want to dance, and they'll tip you."
That's hilarious, man.
And I'm like, "All right, well, I could do this every weekend." So I did that every weekend from 2004 to about 2006, 2007 when we lost the contract. But yeah, I mean, I got stories like this for days, man. I could tell you stuff about Philly salsa scene from 90s to 2000s, mid 2010s, and there's a lot of history
Yeah,
here.
that's amazing, man. That kind of reminds me to that little story about your like guys would ask you to dance with their wives because they wouldn't dance. That still happens to this
Oh
day.
yeah,
There's a lot of people who are like, "Hey, dance with my girlfriend,"
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's a little interesting. I'll be honest
yeah.
with you. I get a little bit taken back where I'm like, "But why don't you dance with your girlfriend?" But it's like,
It's
I
a so for me, like when I go out with my wife, she'll be like, "Oh, I want to dance with him, but I'm scared to ask." So I'll
mm,
just go up there and I'm like, "Hey, she wants to dance with you. Have a dance with her." And I'll
yeah,
just
yeah,
walk off.
yeah,
Just walk
yeah,
off. Walk off and just go dance with someone else. I mean, it's not anything. There's no ill intent from that.
right,
It's just a matter of we're all here to dance. If it were, there's a difference between the nightclubs and an actual dance club,
yeah,
like especially salsa clubs. Salsa clubs are a complete different animal than your nightclub. The
hmm,
nightclub scene is more like, all right, who can I take home with me tonight?
yeah,
Let's turn up. And then the salsa club has a little bit of that, but it's mostly I'm there to dance.
yeah. Who can I dance with?
Yeah, who can I dance with? How many dances can I get tonight?
Yeah,
Or back in the early 2000s, it wasn't. It was more like, who am I going to take home tonight? But now it's like, let's see how many dances we can get,
yeah,
and it's just as the times change and the time passes, our mentality switches too. The older we get, like when I was in my 20s, I was stupid.
hmm,
I mean, even my wife was like, when we first started dating, she said, "Oh, I heard about you,"
mm,
and I said, "Yeah, about 50% of what you heard is probably true,
yeah.
and the other 50%, I don't know. I don't even know. Did I do that? I don't know because I've heard like she told me some stories, and I'm like, I did that? Wow, I
Yeah,
must have been I must have been gone."
right.
Like, no, like, and I have no secrets. When my wife to this day still hates me. Like I wake her up and I annoy the mess out of her, but that's part of
That's
that's
part of the
part of
job.
being
Yeah,
married. Yeah,
it's
it's
in
part
the
of my job.
it's in the contract.
It's in the contract. You signed up for this.
Yeah.
I read her and I take the receipt and I go,
Yeah.
it's too late to send me back now.
Sorry, the 30-day return
That's
policy
it.
is
That's
gone.
it.
Yeah,
I
you're
put
gone.
time in. But no, she, she always like, I hate you. I hate you. She'll tell people, I didn't like him when we started dating. I still don't like him now. He's arrogant. Yeah, I have a little bit of arrogance. I have a little bit of an ego, but so does everyone else.
Yeah.
When you're at a level where your dancing has elevated and you train and you work hard, yeah, that comes with that. You get a little sense of pride. Like, yeah, I'm good.
Mhm.
I'm ready to go. I put my time in.
Yeah.
But that was earned. That's earned.
Mhm.
For dancers who started a month ago and they're just embarking on this journey, be careful with that.
Mm.
Because a month in, you think, I'm God's gift to the dance community. I am unstoppable. I'm going to go dance with everyone. And then all of a sudden you're doing your basic and you're like, what move did I mess up?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to mess this up. Oh, I can't remember any of the moves I learned. And then you go through this phase where you're like, I don't want to do this shit anymore. I'm done.
Mhm.
And then you go back to it like, a month later, you're like, maybe I should go back to dance class. And then you go back and you're like, why is this so hard?
Mm. Ego death over and over and over
Yep.
and over again. Yep.
So if you keep the ego in check, you'll be able to grow. If you keep the main thing, timing, technique, musicality, connection, all those things, you put them together and you put your ego to the side. all of that will grow, and that will make you better. Not the I've arrived because I took a class.
Amazing. And let's go ahead and wrap this up right now. But you've already spilled so much knowledge.
Oh,
I really appreciate it,
we
man.
were supposed to have a list, and I just came in and just like, no, let's just talk.
No, and I love that. I think we got a lot of juicy stuff. So I appreciate that. And I want to wrap this up with this last question here, and you can tailor it to however you want. But it's a two-part. So what is like the last piece of last thing you want to share basically with everybody? Anything else that's on your mind, but also perhaps what is if you can boil down all your 27 years of dancing and experience, what is the main thing that you can share with people who are watching and listening that's going to make you a better dancer or a better social dancer?
Okay, so I'll answer the last part first. To become a better social dancer, you need to put everything that you have learned to use. Sit up a little bit. You have to be able to go out there and be vulnerable. So many people go into a dance class and they're insecure about they're insecure about the way they learn, and they feel like I'm going to suck because I don't know what I'm doing. Well, yeah, you're gonna suck. I sucked. I was terrible. My first basic was, and I have videos, and I always look back at the video and say, I went from this to this. How?
Mm-hmm.
How do I go from here to there? How did I get from not knowing to knowing too much? Right? So your process is putting in the time, putting in the work, making sure that the vulnerability that you have, you use that to a strength, not to a weakness. You don't make that a weakness. You're supposed to be vulnerable. When you're dancing, you're performing, you're inviting people into the most intimate part of your personality. When I'm on stage, I invite that person onto the stage with me. That's my show. That's how I capture you. When I'm social dancing, I'm inviting you into my personal space, and you're in their personal space. So you have to protect that. That's sacred. That connection for that 5 minutes of a song is sacred. You're both communicating without talking. That same communication goes across levels, beginner through pro and master, right? As a dancer, you want to be able to use your vulnerability as a strength because that's what brings people to you. That's what draws them to you. So, to become a better dancer, you just have to work on those four main ingredients: timing, technique, connection, right? And musicality. Because without musicality, you have no dancing. It's not color by numbers. It's not 1 red, 2 blue, 3 green, 5 yellow. It's what do I hear? How is that going through my body? And what am I going to do to make that come to life? Like, you could play any song right now and I'll start moving, but not because I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going ba bum 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 da dun 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 dun
You got me
da
moving
dun
now.
dun da 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 dun dun dun.
Hey.
Right? So not just going 1, 2, 3, and 5, 6, 7, look like a robot while I'm dancing my basic. That's not fun.
Mm-hmm.
Have fun with it. Be able to make yourself look stupid in order to get better.
Love that.
It's one of the main things that you have to do. And then the last part, what was this? The first question you hit me with.
Essentially, anything else you want to share?
Anything else? Okay. Just because you're in a dance class and you're not getting the choreography, you're not getting the turn pattern that's being taught, does not mean that you can't dance. Dance classes are supposed to be a challenge. It's not supposed to teach you something that you already know. Because if you already knew it, why are you paying me money?
Yo, hit the buzzer on that one. Absolutely.
All right? So
Love that.
it's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be a challenge. You're supposed to sit in your car and cry.
Yeah, go to the corner and cry, or go to your car.
Yeah, you go to the car and you're like, Jose's class was oh man, can't do this. And then next week you're like, all right, I'm back.
Yeah.
That's what I tell my students all the time. Like, you come to me for a reason. You come to me because you want to be challenged.
Mm-hmm.
You don't come to me to keep you dumb. Instructors everywhere want to challenge their students. There's a reason why we have so many monthly intro classes to filter in new students, but the process is for you to grow, not for you to stay in the same level.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, if you stay at the same level, you're paying it forward. I have students that have been with me for 5-6 years, and they still take the beginner classes with me. You know why?
So everybody's a beginner.
Right. Everyone's a beginner. They want to alleviate that stress, like they can do it. And you're supposed to pay it forward. That's why I tell everyone, I dance with everyone. It does not matter who it is. My grandmother's 89 years old, and she's still with us. God bless her. And she still turns up. This lady has her little shot of Hennessy, and then she can dance all night. And she's got a broken hip, and she's with her cane, and she still turns up.
Damn.
And she still parties, and we still dance. And she goes, lift me. And I'm like, no, grandma, no, grandma. But, it's for everyone. I have a student her name is Zelda. And she's 98 years old now.
Wow.
I believe, 98. And she still dances. She comes to class, not so much now through the pandemic, but she would come to class and she would dance. And then she would say, dance on two. And the other misconception, and the last bit of advice is, on one, on two, does not matter. Stop making the two styles a status.
Mm-hmm.
You're not here to dance one style over the other. Yes, you have your preference. Yes, you feel music and you hear music differently, but don't make it about a status. Just because you dance on two doesn't mean that you're elite, because I can dance on two. Mm-hmm. I dance both styles and I get more dances.
And I was going to say, to add on top of it, I think also other styles of dancing too. Just because you dance salsa on one and you don't dance bachata, or you don't dance zouk, or you don't dance kizomba, doesn't make you, I think, a better dancer. In fact, I think it's the opposite. If you don't dance all those styles, not necessarily saying that it's prohibiting you from that, but like making yourself feel like you're a better dancer because you only dance to one style, I think is a crime.
It's a restaurant. It's a buffet. When you go to the club, it's a buffet. Mm-hmm. Sample everything. You have your on one, that's your ribs. You have your on two, that's your crab legs. Everybody goes for the crab legs, and they fight for them. And then the on one over here is like, hey, we have value too. On one, on two, casino, bachata, cha-cha. Philly had a time where if you played a bachata in Brazil's in the mid 2000s, when bachata before it was like somebody played a cha-cha now. Everyone disappears. It's like, bro, like it's music. It's got quality. It's got rhythm. Dance it.
Yeah.
Even if it's not your flavor, someone asks you to dance a bachata, step out your comfort zone. You might learn something.
Hell yeah.
It's crazy.
This has been an incredible conversation. So
yeah, man, I just wanted to come up here and talk. I didn't really, I looked at the questions and I glazed over them, and I was kind of trying to have an answer for everything. But my wife said, don't talk too much. And I failed.
Is this why she hates you?
Yeah, because I like to just have a conversation.
Absolutely.
It doesn't have to be about questions. The podcast is awesome, by the way. I give you a lot of credit for doing this because it's something that's very needed in Philly. So I got to give you a lot of credit, especially coming from someone who is just moved here. So you're kind of just seeing like the outside perspective. It's totally awesome, bro. Like I like where you're going with it. So I give you mad props. And
thank you, brother.
There's some people we got to bring on, man.
Please
let them know. Yeah, Big George, Tiffany, Jason Moreno. Who else? Who else can we get up on here and talk? Just have a talk. Get Darlene Garcia up here.
Oh, yeah.
These are people who are pioneers. They're guys. They're people who are going to take it to the next level. Mm-hmm. You can't forget the people before you. Amen. I always pay homage to Angel Papo Santiago, Betty Vega. I pay homage to Isabel Garcia, who's one of like the first on two instructors in Philly in the area. Jose Papo Diaz, who used to teach in Trenton on two. There's a lot of people. You got to always remember the history of Philly dancing.
Amazing. Absolutely. Yeah. And thank you, man, with your help. I
Yep.
think I'd love to make that possible. And last but not least, of course, how can people find you online if you want people to find you online?
Uh, on Instagram, it's at Jose underscore Palante. Um, Also, Jose the Detail Guy. That's my detailing business. So if you want to see like car transformations from dirty to clean, go there. On Facebook, it's my full name, Jose Luis Maldonado. And also my dance company, Rumberitos Dance Team. Um, they've been around for like 7 years now, and we're in a rebrand and rebuild. So be on the lookout for that as well. And yeah, we're going to be a little bit more active. My wife and I are now competing and partnering together as pros for the first time. We actually announced that last week.
Amazing.
So it's her time now to take that step up.
Let's
And
go.
yeah, we're gonna be actually performing next week in at the art museum.
Oh, no kidding.
So yeah, we're doing DJV Spice's event, the outdoor event.
Wait, I don't think I've heard of that one. Is that one new?
I think she announced it about a month ago.
Okay. I got to
So
tune in.
it'll be it'll be
Yeah,
at the
please.
museum. Yeah, so let's definitely link up out there. And um 2024 has sucked for me personally as far as like home stuff with uh car accidents, car break-ins and whatever, and family loss of family. Actually, my uncle passed away last week, so
Mm.
his funeral is this Wednesday. And it hit hard because it's more for my mom. But yeah, 2024, let's make it about rebuilding this community.
Love that. Absolutely, my
And I'm
man.
gonna be back out dancing, giving hands to everybody.
Hey, let's go.
All right.
Right on, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. Jose Maldonado, it's been a pleasure. It's been a delight.
Awesome. Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, thank you so much for showing up. For those of you watching, of course, you guys already know how I'm going to end this. If you see us out dancing, save us a dance. And we'll see you in the next episode. Take care.
Sir.
Yeah.